So really what I want people to walk away from this episode is anything that touches or goes into an orifice, don't sell it.
Julie, but like people are creative.
They are
I mean,
creative.
this could really be limiting. I mean, you call it a knickknack, you call it a porcelain unicorn figurine. I call it something else. According to your guidance, that shouldn't be available.
Welcome to Garage Sales Unhinged.
Where the characters are as quirky as the vines.
I'm Julie.
And I'm Jake.
Join us as we dive into the wild world of garage sales, yard sales, estate sales, and anywhere secondhand sales are happening.
From bizarre bargains to hilarious haggles.
You won't believe the stories we've got lined up.
Let's get unhinged.
Jake, I feel like for this episode, I need game show music. And I was going to try to do a game show sound, and I'm like, wait, that's going to sound wrong. So, um, but we're going to play a game of what not to sell at a yard sale or garage
Okay,
sale or estate sale.
I'm
Uh,
ready.
I feel like the whole audience would right now, like if we were doing this in front of a live audience, it would be, why are they selling that? Um,
If we were doing this in front of a live audience, it'd be a pretty sparse room. It, like 8 people, maybe two of them are kind of politely clapping.
3 of them came in just for the AC. Like, yeah.
Buy
Uh,
something or get out.
so we're gonna use some of the rules from Family Feud, and you get 3 chances. That you get 3 X's, and once you have the third X, you completely lose, and you owe me $40. So
Mm.
I think that's how the show works. So I have a list of 21 items that I really don't recommend people to sell at any kind of secondhand sell, whether it's in person or online. Do you want to take a stab at what one of the 21 items are?
I'd love to, but before we do, can I ask a few quick questions about like the rules of this game?
No, there's no rules. I'm going to make them up as we go, but
What am
you
I
can try
competing
your best.
for? I mean, like if I lose, I have $40. What do I get if I win?
You get to keep that $40.
Okay, so this is like you've got me up against the middle school lockers, and
I want your $40 of lunch money.
okay,
Exactly.
or I can dazzle you with my wits and personality as it's always been. Okay, let's go.
I'm probably going to get $40. Okay. So, um take a gander. What what should people not sell at a secondhand bargain?
Food.
Do you know the reason why?
I think isn't it against the law? Like you can only sell food if you're a franchise Subway owner.
Yes and no. So, yeah, food is one of the items that you are not supposed to sell because of health code laws. So,
Yes. That's what I meant.
um, and I know that people are out there, and this is food and drinks. There's a health policy related to it, and I know that some people do that at the sales. I would just, man, don't. I wouldn't recommend it because if you put something in there and you don't know that something contains an allergen, like a tree nut or something like that, and then someone eats it and then they have health problems, they could actually come back and sue you. And we live in a very litigious country, so I would not recommend selling the food and also you can't really sell drinks either. Um, People think like, oh, I'm going to sell bottles of water. You actually have to have something that says from the state wherever you live of the yes, I can sell this.
A food
Now,
vendor's license. Yeah.
well, and for the selling of bottles of water, what I do recommend if it's a really hot summer day, then people can actually give away bottles of unopened water, unopened people, um, to people as a way to entice people to come to your sale and do that type of stuff. You just can't sell it because there is some resell issues, legal issues there. But um, don't make cookies and try to sell those. Now, if you bought prepackaged cookies and you want to give those away, you can. But again, if you're having a garage sale, yard sale, like why you spending money? You want to make the money.
Two quick questions about that. I've gone to farmers markets.
Congrats.
Yeah. And Some people are like, hey, here's the tomatoes I grew. They're out of the ground. You can eat them. Um,
Is that how you eat tomatoes? You
that's
just
how
eat
I
them?
would move those things. It's very successful. Uh, Other people are totally selling cookies they baked. Are they in like violating something there?
No, so a lot of times whenever you go to a farmer's market, as a vendor, whenever they buy a booth or they are paying for that, they go through the process of declaring that they have everything from the state in order to sell those things. A lot of them are coming from companies, a bakery, something like that, that they have a health code approved kitchen that they're cooking things in. So for the most part, whenever you go to a farmer's market, any type of thing like that, the people there have already been vetted by the people that run it, and they have the state certifications for everything.
Oh, and it's good to know. You mentioned earlier, like the whole thing about food allergies, and that's a totally real thing. I remember getting allergy tested years back, and if you haven't done that, it's pretty wild. When they're just like giving you the full panel, and they're testing like when they test you, they more or less like dip a needle in the thing that you could be allergic to, and they poke you with it. And as far as the scale of all the stuff that you could be allergic to, it's insane.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, this one is apple. And if apple pops for you, cool. Now we're going to poke you with 84 different kinds of apple to see which of these apples you're allergic to. It's not fun.
Well, I mean, I haven't done that test before, and again, trial and error is not the best way to figure out what you're allergic to, but I'm highly allergic to cheap wine.
Mm.
So, yeah, that's a lot of scientific research right there. All right, Jake, give me another guess as to what people should not be selling in a secondhand sale.
I'm thinking car tires. Is- Well, it'd be dangerous. Like, hey, yeah, it's in good shape. It's got another 800 miles and, it blows out while you're driving away or something. Yes?
I mean, it's a good guess, but I don't know. Because what if someone's buying a car tire to make a tire swing for their children?
Ah,
You're so disgusted with me right now. Okay, so that's one strike. I'm closer to my 40 bucks. Um, let's move on down the line. Jake, what is your next guess?
animals.
No, I mean, it's not illegal to sell animals at a secondhand sale. The caveat being, if the animal is over a certain amount of dollars, you may have to pay sales tax on selling that animal. And where I'm thinking of it's like a horse, a cow, like something that may be a couple $1,000s, uh, depending on your state and what the state says is there's an exemption limit of how much you can sell. You may have to actually pay sales tax on that.
Hmm.
But it's not illegal to sell pets. I wouldn't recommend it. There's a lot of, I think, ethical issues with it of like, do you know if the animal's going to a good home, or are they going to be made into dinner? Like, that's a big extreme, but making sure that you know where the animal is going. But it's also not illegal to sell a pet. It's better to rehome them to a family that you know and that you know that they'll take care of them. But Jacob,
Well,
that's
that
your
one's half
second.
right. That one's half right, I feel. So I also get half of my previous wrong answer back. Thank you. This is great.
No, I'm running the game show here, so you got your second X. So, um, let's try it again. Jake, what should people not sell?
Okay, so if I'm thinking, okay, let me think this through because like the last few answers, I just like shot from the hip. So I'm gonna think this through. So what should I not sell? You're saying like what are you not allowed to
You're
sell?
gonna get into some hot water if you sell it.
Okay, I feel like there's a clue there. The fact that you said it that way, that hot water means I shouldn't sell hot water.
I think I'm getting 40 bucks. No. I mean, you could sell hot water, but No, that's
It
not
can be
it.
bottled and unopened.
You lose this game really bad. Okay, so um I had 21 items, you got one of them. So I have 20 other items I want to share with you. Something that you're not supposed to sell in a secondhand sale, indigenous art and artifacts,
Huh.
and also anything made of ivory.
Ooh, okay. That makes total sense.
Because as I was doing some research for this episode, um, if there is not a certificate of authenticity, if you don't have the origins of how you came into owning this item, there's a legal issue with it. So one, ivory is no longer legally made. You can't buy modern day stuff with it. You're not supposed to. But also before a lot of laws were made and passed saying that ivory is no longer something that you should be purchasing. There's antiques that have ivory in it and stuff like that. Um, but for especially indigenous art and artifacts, it may have been obtained illegally, and if you go to try to purchase it, then you're also part of the illegal process.
Yeah.
So, that whenever I was doing the research, it was kind of the first things that popped up, and I was like, "You know what? That's a really good point." But I also know where families have maybe received a gift from an indigenous community. Their ancestor received it for helping out that community, you know, many years ago, decades ago, and they can say, "Oh, my great grandfather received it for helping this community start their garden or build a schoolhouse," and that was their way of saying thank you. You may not want to sell it because now it's a family heirloom. It's something you want to keep, but it's also, if you decide to sell it, it's not illegal to do that. You just want to go through the proper channels to do that. But again, you may also just want to donate it back to the indigenous community because that's not their intent, wasn't to sell it, it was to give someone a gift.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Look at me being helpful. It's rare, folks. Stick with us here. Are you planning a garage sale, yard sale, or estate sale and need some help? Look no further than Garage Sale Supply. They provide top notch resources and expert advice to help you host the perfect sale. From pricing tips to promotional strategies, they've got you covered. Visit garagesalesupply.com and make your next sale a success. Okay, another thing that people are not supposed to sell, and I didn't really put two and two together until I read it, but anything with a recall.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. So let's say that you
That's what I
have
meant by the car tires earlier, so I feel like I get a guess back.
that's some BS and no, you don't get a guess back.
Okay.
Um, but let's say that you had a recall on a blender and the blender doesn't get fixed and then you try to sell the blender at a yard sale. Legally, you're not supposed to do that. There is a government entity out there in the United States that is like I think it's like the CPCC. I don't know. It's like consumer goods group. And that's one of the things that, and also like, I don't think anyone's actually read the whole volume and documentation of what you can and can't sell. But that's one of the things that they mention in there, that if you have something that has a recall on it and it has not been fixed, you are not supposed to sell it. It's the same thing with a car. If you think about it, like a lot of recalls we hear about, it's vehicles. But if your vehicle had a recall, say on an airbag, and you try to resell it without it getting fixed, you can be in some hot water.
So this blender, while using it, has a tendency to roll over. Its airbags will deploy, and so there's been a recall on it. Don't blend, please.
Yeah, the blender is not gonna be able to take the kids to school in it, so
Mm.
hold off on reselling that. Okay,
How are people supposed to know whether their stuff's been recalled? Like, are you saying it's on me? I'm putting together a garage sale, and I need to figure out if any of this stuff, likely electronic stuff, has been recalled. Is there a way to do that?
again, I'm not a lawyer, I just like to lawyer people. Um, I think you wanna go into this with a good faith of, like, I am not knowingly selling anything that has a recall notice. If you're taken to court, you're hooked up to a polygraph. They're gonna make you, maybe waterboard you. Don't waterboard people. That's not appropriate. But I think it's a good faith effort. If you knowingly sell something that has been recalled, hey, you're a bad person. Don't do that. But if you sell something, you go, hey, I didn't know that that toaster oven had a
Right.
recall on it.
It's a lot of buyer beware type of
Yeah,
situation. Yeah.
every single secondhand purchase is always buyer beware. Like,
True.
don't go into this thinking that you're gonna have, an extended warranty from the seller that you purchased it from. Alright, next item, and I cannot stress this enough, this is gross. Used undergarments and swimsuits.
Speak for yourself. Go on.
No, I'm speaking for you too.
Yeah.
Um, I'm gonna say anything that touches an orifice of the human body, don't sell it. Jacob made a face.
Well, okay, like that. I think that's good advice, but there is a thriving market, unfortunately, for people to sell their bathwater. Certain people to sell their bathwater. There are underwear vending machines in what is it, Japan or something? And according to the marketing, used undergarments in these vending machines. Like, I get your advice and it's sound advice, but you're missing a market.
If you wanna buy used undergarments, please go to Japan, and if you wanna buy, bath water, you can do that. I'm not saying you can't, and also, I'm not saying you can't sell undergarments and swimsuits, used undergarments and swimsuit. I'm saying you shouldn't, and
Mm.
you shouldn't buy it. Like, there again, yes, there's a market for it. Go to Japan, go to wherever they sell it. But yeah, don't buy it at a yard sale, garage sale. Oh my gosh, do not buy it at an estate sale. That has not been washed.
Well, at least if you do, if you must, at least turn it inside out and shake.
Gross. Okay, next item that you're not supposed to purchase, mattresses.
Can you repeat that, please?
A mattress, a bed mattress.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, funny story. I had a mattress that I needed to get rid of at my house whenever I was selling it and moving in, with my husband. Um, and I didn't know what to do with it. And one of my coworkers at the time was needing a mattress for their guest room in his house. So he came over and got my mattress. It was in my guest room and he took it. And apparently the mattress was not up to their standards. But
You are sharing so much.
I know. But also I got rid of the mattress. So then it was his fault to like, now he had to get rid of it. So anyway.
I got rid of the mattress. I gained a reputation.
Oh, yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Mm.
I think we all have those moments. Here's okay. Here's also my defense in that I hadn't slept on that bed in years because it was a guest bed, and I assumed it was still firm and good and like all that stuff, but apparently it was too lumpy for what they.
Oh, okay, okay. I didn't there's a lot of things to complain about the state of a mattress that you're picking up from someone. Whether it's lumpy really wasn't.
It was clean. It's just it was not as firm as they wanted it for their guests.
So this is a kind of a question that comes up for a lot of people. Truth is, like, yeah, it's time for a different size bed. It's just a different mattress for whatever reason. Not gonna brainstorm what this might be, but what are you supposed to do with an old mattress?
There's companies that will come, so if you're buying a new bed, companies out there will actually come and get your old mattress whenever they deliver your new mattress, and they will dispose of it for you. You can also pay to have it taken to a landfill and thrown away. But yeah, there's not tons of options of what to do with a used mattress, but I think there's companies out there that will, I'm gonna say, recycle them, and that sounds like they're just gonna resell it. They don't. They actually take it apart, clean things out, remake bedding, using those materials, but it's not necessarily the same mattress.
You just can't get rid of the memories. Um, I'm presuming yours. You called up a priest. and had them come and sprinkle
We
water.
we saged the crap out of it.
Good.
Alrighty. I still have several more items. So the next one on my list is you're not supposed to sell nonstick cookware.
Interesting. Well, really, why?
So the older models of nonstick cookware were made with toxins. And even today, if you scratch the surface of a nonstick cookware, you're actually releasing toxins into the food that you cook. And so it is one of those things of you want to be careful of, hey, the cookware that you're buying at a secondhand market, you think, man, this is great. I'm getting all these pots and pans for $10. If there's any kind of scratches on there and it's nonstick, you don't want it. Things that you can buy at a secondhand sale is cast iron. Cast iron's always great. Stainless steel appliances are good. Just don't buy the nonstick cookware.
Yeah. And those are come pretty cheap off the shelf anyway. But to your point, the reason they're cheap is that they're probably not going to hold up very well to a spatula. So yeah.
There's that. It's also probably not going to hold up very well to cancer diagnosis. So don't do the nonstick cookware. Um, Another other items you're not supposed to sell are some baby items. So like think of infant walkers, cribs, car seats. The Do you know the reason behind this, Jake?
No,
Okay, so
it seems like
uh,
you'd be helping somebody out. Like, man, like I need a car seat for my child. Like, of course, $80.
the regulations around the things that are made for babies, especially car seats, cribs, those health regulations change constantly. And and as a secondhand buyer, you don't know if that car seat has already been in a wreck. You don't know if that crib is missing a screw. You
Mhm.
don't kn you know, there's some things that you're just not familiar with it, and it doesn't necessarily carry the warranty from the manufacturer for if you try to buy it secondhand. So those are items that they actually say shouldn't be resold. So people should not be buying that at garage sales, yard sales, yada, yada, yada.
Interesting.
And along those same lines, uh, shouldn't be buying a helmet either. So you think about like a bike helmet, motorcycle helmet. Yeah.
What lice?
I wasn't even going there, but yes, that's one of them.
Well, I mean, but okay. I'm I want to circle back to your mattress, but go on, explain the helmets.
So helmets have once you get in a wreck with the helmet, even though there may not be damage on the outside or even like what you can see on the inside, there may be a crack in the foam and it actually isn't providing as much protection as if you bought a brand new helmet. So, yes, there's also the cleanliness of it, but the safety factor of helmets is in question where you buy it secondhand.
So you're saying by their nature, helmets, once used, become emo. You know, they look fine on the outside, but inside they're broken.
That is such a good description. Yeah, don't buy emo helmets.
Mm.
Thanks, Jake. Um, Jake, and I'm gonna this next one, I really want you to listen to me because I don't want you to go out there and continue to do this. Um, you're not supposed to buy cosmetics and perfumes.
Mm.
So one, there's oils, there's dead skin and stuff that end up in the cosmetics. Perfumes actually have an expiration date, and you don't know what you're getting. And so yeah, cosmetics and perfumes not hygienic. Don't buy that stuff.
I
Don't sell that stuff.
I'm gonna just express some displeasure here. I can't buy the underwear. I can't buy the makeup. And how am I supposed to recreate the whole, goodbye horses scene if I can't have these things? Like, what are you supposed to do with a half-empty bottle of whatever perfume and some negligee?
This totally sounds like a Silence of the Lambs type thing, and I really don't want to give you advice on this. So, um,
I'd
one,
sell me. I'd sell me hard.
oh, Jacob. I think you're beautiful as you are, Jake. You don't need to buy cosmetics. And perfumes, there's better options out there than purchasing it from secondhand. Now, if someone wants to buy a perfume bottle because they like the look of it, by all means, do that. But don't think that the perfume that's in the bottle, if it's still there, is good because it's gonna be rancid.
Yeah, the chemistry changes over time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Another item that people should not be selling is anything that stores personal data.
Hmm.
Think of like a smartphone, laptop, computer. There's actually there's one near my house that is a Goodwill that only receives and accepts electronics. They make sure that things are removed from the personal devices so that they don't have your data stored on there, and then you can go and purchase the the different innards of different electronics from the store. It's a very cool concept, and I wish more cities and places did this. Um, but just be careful of who has your personal data, and and again, like I have given family members my old cell phones, and I've restored them to factory settings. But again, I gave it to a family member that I live and trust, and probably wouldn't sell it in a secondhand market.
I think one that Goodwill you described is really cool. It's like a niche thing that they're doing, and there's more need for it because more things are storing data. Unfortunately, it's kind of like the world we're in, where that's just the case. But to your point, and it's a really good point, I'm wondering, well, what happens if you sell your car? Because your car is honestly, it's a privacy nightmare. Cars are collecting incredible amounts of data and they're not regulated like communications networks. So your auto manufacturers are going wild selling your data all over the place. And so if you sell your car on Facebook Marketplace or to a dealership or something, what then? It's not regulated.
Yeah, I would highly recommend you just drive your car off a bridge.
Yes. Yeah, that's what lakes are for.
Yes. We're kidding, folks. Don't please don't do that. Um, I don't know, Jake. Maybe you should get on the bandwagon of regulating secondhand car sales that have personal data stored.
The FCC recently proposed, they're looking at it. Essentially, they're going, hey, maybe the latest cars, because of what they do with data, what they can do with data, should be regulated as though they are communications networks because they essentially are. They're little communication networks on wheels.
I also think it's adorable that the government is looking at it.
Yeah.
Sweet. Um, the I also want to say, like, I know we talked a lot about electronics. This also includes anything that maybe your address is on. So if you are selling for whatever reason, say an old yearbook, and in your yearbook you have a phone number, you have your address on it.
Mhm.
You don't you have to think about stuff like that. Anything that, let's say you are selling,
You had a collection of old Life magazines, and they had your
yeah,
delivery address on there. Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
You
So
know
it's
what's crazy to me? You mentioned that. Isn't it wild that not that long ago, if like we used to routinely produce a book that had the name and number and physical address of everybody in town, and they brought it to you and put it at your doorstep and, waved. They also left you used underwear.
They did not leave you used underwear. They did
The
not do that to
concept
real.
of a phone book is already like a totally alien thing. It's like completely impossible that that was ever okay.
Well, and also, like, you had the white pages and the yellow pages, and, like, the yellow pages we knew were for business, and the white pages were for the actual houses and residences, and, yeah, blast from the past. Also, if you found a phone book at a garage sale, would you buy it?
I'd lowball them,
I will take 25 cents from you, sir, for me to take this phone book off your hands.
right?
Okay. Um, this one I'm gonna throw out there, and it's not illegal to do it, but it should be. Do not sell a puzzle, people, that you know is missing a piece.
Oh,
That is calling for you to get a brick through the window. Like, don't do that.
But I do kind of like the idea. What you're giving the person is an adventure. It's an unsolvable problem. You're giving them a way to stave off dementia.
You're giving them, like, all work and no play. I'm gonna kill people.
Scenario. Yeah.
Yeah, like, don't do that. Just don't. That's rude. Just don't do it. Okay. Legally, you're not supposed to sell medicine and vitamins. I know there's a market for it. Don't sell them
I'm not even going to joke about the medicine thing, but vitamins and supplements. Why is that?
because you're supposed to have one, you don't know how old the vitamins are. Um, two, of everything that's in that vitamin container, is it the actual vitamin or did you throw in some fentanyl? Like,
Hmm.
you don't really know what you're getting. Um,
Best not to purchase anything or try to sell anything that is consumable. Again, unless, like you mentioned earlier, you're in like the farmers market scene, and you're honestly you're too sweet an old lady to want to poison me with these cookies. It's fine.
but she's not sweet, she's bitter. So, and there's gonna be a couple things, and then I'm gonna come back to something you just said. So, on this list, I also have you're not supposed to sell alcohol, tobacco, or marijuana, even if marijuana is legal in your state. You cannot sell it at a secondhand sell. And all of these things, you have to have a government approved license to be able to do that stuff. And you have to be able to check IDs. You have to do yada, yada, yada. So, really, what I want people to walk away from this episode is anything that touches or goes into an orifice, don't sell it.
Julie, but like people are creative.
They are
I mean,
creative.
this could really be limiting. I mean, you call it a knickknack, you call it a porcelain unicorn figurine. I call it something else. According to your guidance, that shouldn't be available.
I just wouldn't sell. Hey, listen, if you're doing something with the unicorn on a Friday night, that is all up to you. But don't sell it at a garage
Friday
sell
night, that's
bake.
pretty vanilla. Okay.
Um, so those are some things. Okay, last few on my list. Things that you're not supposed to sell at a secondhand sale: fireworks.
Hmm.
So again, you have to have a special certificate from your state that says that you can sell fireworks, and it ain't gonna be at your garage sale and yard sale. Fuel. So don't try to go siphon the neighbor's vehicles for some gasoline that you can sell at your sell, or diesel. Either way, don't sell it. And if someone comes to me about, "Hey, well, what about an electronic vehicle? Can I sell energy?" Get off my lawn, kids. Go away. Don't bring that mess here. Um, Another thing in here is you're not supposed to sell a fleet of vehicles.
Yeah. Damn. Uh,
Sounds funny, right? Like, oh, but I had 6 Camaros ready to go. And I put that in here because it's a caveat thing, and I mentioned it earlier. Depending on how much you sell, you may have to pay sales tax on. Now, for the state of Texas, they have something that is an occasional sale, and don't quote me on this, but I think it's if you have 3 sales in a 12-month period, you have to pay sales tax. So let's say that someone thinks like, "Oh, I'm gonna have a yard sale for the next 6 weeks." By the way, don't be my neighbor, that would make me mad. Um, you would actually legally have to pay taxes on anything over that 3rd sale.
so when you're saying a sale, it's like when you like officially have a garage sale. That's a sale.
Mhm.
And after you've done it 3 consecutive times in a 12-month span, that activates your need to pay some kind of tax.
Yeah, it doesn't even have to be consecutive. Let's say that I sold my neighbor a lawnmower, in January, and then I sold you a car in March, and then, right now it's August, so let's say that I sold, my piano to a friend. I would have to pay tax on those items because that is 3 sales in 1 year.
So does that apply to stuff I have on Facebook Marketplace or something? Like I like, okay, I'm gonna get rid of the silverware. Here's some shoes. Here's another thing. That
It's
counts as 3 sales.
it's supposed to. The other thing is that there's also, a dollar minimum. It's anything over $3,000. And that's not a $3,000 one time. It is collectively $3,000. So
Mm.
that's whenever I say you don't want to sell a fleet of vehicles. If you sell all the vehicles for $600, like who's buying that trash? But it's because that's going to end up being more than $3,000 that you are receiving, and you would have to pay sales tax on that. In the state of Texas, every state is different. You'd have to check with your comptroller office, but there is some legalities around that.
No one wants to check with the comptroller's office. They just want to sell underwear. Ooh.
Well, how do you think you're going to get all your buyers if you don't go to the comptroller's office? Kidding, kidding, comptroller, Texas, don't come after me. Okay, the next thing on here, uh, again, may seem like a no-brainer. Birth certificates or any kind of government ID.
Hmm.
That there's not a yes, there is a market for it. Legally, there's not a market for it. So I came across a news story that somebody was actually trying to sell a birth certificate that they got in like they bought like one of the storage units, and in that storage
Uh-huh.
unit was a safe. And within that safe, it was like a nesting doll situation. And in that safe was some government IDs, and they were trying to sell this birth certificate. And that is a big old no no. You should not be doing that.
Wow. I guess there's like you just burn those. I mean, if you come across them, release the spirit to what's next.
There is that. I would also probably recommend that people go and take it to like their government entity. Say, hey,
The comptroller, you mean?
probably not the comptroller, but it may be so. I don't know who you take it to, but
This is
uh,
not the most times that word has been said between us in one day.
okay, the last thing I have on my list, Jake, I listed 20. Well, you said one thing, I listed 19 things. This is the last thing on my list. Do you know what it is?
Teeth.
Really, I feel like this is a no-brainer.
I feel like there's a clue in how you said that.
So here's the thing that you're not
No brains.
so close, real close. Um, you're not supposed to sell anything you don't own. So I came across an article that this was based in Texas. A squatter moved into a lady's house, and while she was in another state taking care of her ailing mom, and started to sell all of her possessions online in yard sales, stuff like that. And then once she got back, not only did she have to deal with the squatter issue, but she also didn't have any more of her stuff because
Oh,
it was all
boy,
gone.
that's good.
Yeah. So, and I believe that individual went to jail not only for the trespassing, but also, stolen goods. So seems kind of like, oh yeah, that's a no-brainer, but I'm just gonna say it.
It should be intuitive. A lot of these things should be intuitive, but yeah, like honestly, like some of them aren't. Like the helmet you mentioned, a baby stroller. Why not? People need these things, but to your point, what's unknown could have an impact on people that have no control or say in the situation. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And also, like, we think about like, oh, hey, it's a bargain, but we're not necessarily thinking about, hey, is that gonna be good for my health? Oh, don't buy it.
and when are people going to eat hot dogs? I mean, it's like, not gonna.
If it goes in an orifice, don't buy it at a
Oh, oh, okay.
this is getting real weird. Um, but yeah, those are the things you're not supposed to sell at a secondhand sell, and also don't buy it if someone's trying to sell it. Like
If
it's
they are
tempting.
trying to sell it to you, find an adult and tell them.
That adult is your comptroller. Well, Jake, that is our episode for today. So thanks for listening.
Thanks. See you next time.